What have you found out about someone that you would never tell them you know? Subscribe for daily Reddit content. I found out my grandpa used to sew big pockets into the inside of his jackets so he could more effectively shoplift. I found the dick pics of my now son-in-law sent my daughter. She had backed up her computer to an external hard drive and didn't realize they went to. Was it a monster dung? Not a monster, but not bad. Who's bigger, him or you? When I first got married, my sister-in-law was living with us. One day, while she was at work, she called and asked that I email something to her from her desktop. This was prior to texting and email on phones being so prevalent. So, I used her laptop and her Outlook to send the attachment. I checked the sent items to make sure it went through with the attachment and found an email she had sent to someone of a bunch of pictures of her with lit candles shoved up her ass. I never said anything but had to start hiding all of our stick candles in fear that she'd tip all my Yankees. Should have just bought bigger candles. Challenge accepted. One of our VPs is into interracial gangbangs. Clear your search history before calling IT to look at your personal computer. Well, now you know how to get promoted at work. Blackmail. One of my good friends is HIV positive. I found out through the grapevine and immediately understood that I shouldn't know that about him. I've never said anything about it to him, but I've made a distinct effort to be more available to him as a friend. I figure if he ever wants to tell me, he will. If not, he could still use some kindness in his life. I found out my dad won the lottery. He won around $250,000 and has never told me or my brothers. It took some digging to find, so I never told anyone because I figure if he hasn't told his family, then he doesn't want anyone to know. Good move on his part. People will come out of the woodwork for that, even if it isn't a lot of money. And anything you give them as a gift when you win is never enough. A bummy kid we had to gently eject from a gallery opening spent his exit begging for a few bucks, offering to suck anyone's dick for $10. It was an odd moment anyway, capped by a not sad offer. Later, I went out on the fire escape for a smoke. In the alley below was a straight acquaintance, like square straight, married with kids and a boring career, leaning against the wall, one guy's head bobbing against his crotch, getting a $10 beach from a sketchy tweaker. My first instinct was to make some noise. My second was, I just don't want to be involved in this. Of course, upon re-entering the party, acquaintance's wife was the first goddamned person who spoke to me. Hey, have you seen Bob? Is he out sneaking a smoke? It was a weird moment. I've said nothing for a decade. Is he out sneaking a smoke? Yup, someone was smoking his baloney pony. I know that my cousin was gang raped in her apartment in her sophomore year of college, and that her roommate arranged it as some form of sick revenge for dating one of her exes. It's led to her having suicidal tendencies in the past, and she went from a vivacious, outgoing, bubbly woman to one who barely goes anywhere besides work or home, unless she's with her mother. I know because my grandmother remembers stories and information freakishly well, but not that she's supposed to keep some of those things secret. My roommate punched himself in the eye and faked being jumped because his girlfriend was about to break up with him. They are now married. I found out my dad is gay and has been cheating on my mom with a man. I thought my mom was a lesbian until I was 15 and found her journals on the family computer. Turns out she married my mama just to piss off my grandfather. That's probably the first time I've heard of a child finding out their gay parent was actually straight. A close friend that I roomed with at college once had me log into their email to print out tickets. Found the tickets, but also a decent amount of evidence that he had a strong scat fetish. Not sure that there is ever a way to bring that up in conversation. Tip: use a separate email for porn and business. Not sure that there is ever a way to bring that up in conversation. Be right back, I gotta poop. Unless you wanna come. Witnessed a mate secretly try to suck his own dick. He was successful. Forever unsure to give kudos or not. I discovered that an employee who claimed to be a Yale grad on his resume had never stepped foot on the campus. He was liked by the boss and some coworkers, so confronting him on this would have caused quite a scene. I know that one of my best friends from high school/college had sex with his sister for an extended period of time. I actually sort of on and off dated her for a while, and during that time he got really weird. Of course at the time I assumed it was just a, hey you're banging my sister this is awkward kind of thing. Later on he and I were roommates and she and I had long since stopped any romantic interests. I used to work Saturday mornings pretty much every week. However, one week I was off, and I guess he thought I was gone. I came downstairs and was trying to find him to see if he wanted to do anything that day. It ended up he was in the basement bathroom where we usually showered and stuff. Before I realized that I went in his room where his computer was, and there was a list of files pulled up in one window dating over about a 3-year period. In another window there was a video up that he was obviously editing, and it was very clearly him fucking his sister in the very room I was standing in. All the files were named stuff like me and B12,162,004 and stuff like that, making it pretty clear. I ran back upstairs and stayed in bed for a while. If she was cheating on him with her brother, that wouldn't be cool at all. Family comes first. Something I would never tell my ex. I always knew the exact moment she fell asleep because she would fart. One of my buddies has banged his girlfriend's mom numerous times and is still having very inappropriate text and emails with her. She's married and has a very nice family, so it's especially wrong. It's tough to see the girlfriend around and not say anything. I know of a single mom struggling to pay bills. The ex-husband quit his job, so he doesn't pay child support. She drives over to the next state to strip for money. I know she's ashamed, and I'd never tell her or anyone else. She's trying to finish school while working another job too. Found out that one of my best friends is an illegal immigrant and is totally unaware of it. Slept over one night, went to grab a drink from the kitchen, and her parents were talking about how they might bring it up to her since she was getting older. The irony is that she frequently talks about how illegal immigrants should immigrate legally and that it's unfair her parents had to spend the time and money to get here the right way. Best friend, mid-30s, visits his parents and relatives late on Christmas Eve 2014 and quietly comes in late through the rear of the house carrying gifts. His extended family are in the living room discussing how it's surreal he doesn't know his aunt and uncle are his real parents and his parents are his aunt and uncle. Turns out at 17 they had him while dating in high school and gave him up to the older childless married aunt/uncle who had been trying to conceive for many years. The stress of trying to have a child gone. The adoptive parents then had 3 kids in 4 years. His cousins. His real parents married a few years after his adoption and went on to have 3 children. His biological siblings. To this day everyone thinks he doesn't know, and he has never let on to them he does. He has no hard feelings, but it was a shocker. My friend doesn't really have a 1080p monitor, even though he thinks it is. This one is a bit darker. My mom passed away a few years ago from cancer. She went for an operation for something mundane, and they found out she had cancer. My parents worked hard and were good at saving. My mom managed the finances and did an amazing job. Now my dad is alone and keeps on telling me, I wish your mom was here. I don't know what to do with all this money. She would have known how to spend it together. The sad truth is before my mom went for her operation, she planned on leaving my dad after the whole ordeal was over. She told this to me privately. My dad basically told me the same thing privately. After she got diagnosed, he stood by her side and worked from home for months so he could take care of her. He also did an amazing job arranging all aspects of her funeral, even though my mom entrusted that to her sisters. I told my sister, but I don't think I could ever tell him. My ex used to go through my browser history and emails. She never found anything, but always thought I was up to something. I knew this because I read her diary every day. Sounds like you two were made for each other, buddy. One of those porn sidebar ads used a picture of one of my friends. No matter how much porn you watch of them doesn't make you friends. Sasha and I disagree. The person knows I know, but I would never tell my family. When my cousin was 5 or 6 he was not part of our family yet. My uncle met his mom and they fell in love and moved in with each other. My cousin was still with his dad and my uncle and aunt were trying to get custody, but her ex was a very wealthy man. Apparently he was also sexually abusing my cousin, but it was hard to prove and her ex had some really good lawyers. My uncle was not a rich man. but they needed money for a lawyer and a special therapist for my cousin so they could win the case. He robbed his workplace for the cash to pay all the fees needed to get my cousin away from his dad. My uncle's work found out and had him arrested. He had to go to jail for 2 years. He told my family and everyone that he got a job abroad and had to leave for a few years so that he could pay for my cousin's lawyers. Everyone in my family still thinks that he went abroad to make extra cash. Only me and his wife know that he was in jail. My cousin is a very successful, well-adjusted, happy man now. He doesn't really remember anything about living with his dad. My uncle says he would do it again 1,000 times if it meant my cousin growing up safe. I'll never tell my family I know I was a twin. One of my grandmothers got drunk at Christmas and started to talk about it one year when I was a kid. Part of me wants to say she was wrong, but the look of horror in some families' faces before they had me leave to play with cousins always made it stick out. It would explain the lack of baby pictures and why I was baptized really early, like few days old. I don't know what happened to my twin. One day while looking through Flickr, I came across some nude pictures of my coworker. She has lots of photo albums on her account. Turns out she and her husband are swingers. I work with her on a daily basis. I would never tell her I have seen them. And what did we learn today, Reddit? Never, under any circumstances, let anyone you love or care about use your computer. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the best Reddit comment channel on YouTube.